Hi, my name is Lijah Fosl. I'm a trainer with the Peace Education Program, and today we're going to be doing a lesson on feelings and the way that it affects us and our bodies too. First things first, before we get started, I want to play a little bit of a game with you. And this is a game that's very similar to a game called charades. So have you ever played charades? Do you know how that works? It's very simple. Basically, remember how I said one time that nonverbal means no talking and no making any sounds? This is a totally nonverbal game, for me at least. For you, you'll be able to say whatever you want to make some guesses. But basically, I'm going to try and act out a word without saying anything, and you're going to guess what that word is. But to be a little bit more specific, this isn't just a word like a person, place, or thing like you might play with normal charades. This specifically is going to be a feeling, an emotion. So, your job is to guess what emotion it is that I am acting out. Very simple. I'll act for a few seconds. You make your guess, you can just say it out loud, and then at the end, I'll let you know if you got it right. Simple enough? So round one, I'm going to say lights, camera, action. And then when I say action, it means I'm going to start acting out this emotion, and it's your job to guess what it is. Okay? All right. Lights, camera, action. So what do you think that feeling was? Might have guessed happy, excited, full of yourself, you might have guessed a lot of things, but if you guessed the word proud, then you got it right. That was the emotion that I was acting out. I was proud. Maybe I just won a game, maybe I just aced a test. I was feeling very proud. So, that was the last word. This is going to be round two, a new word, so try and guess what the feeling is this time. Same thing as last time. Lights, camera, action. Can you guess what that feeling is? Might have guessed disappointed, anxious, sad, depressed. But if you guessed bored, then you got it right. I was acting bored, like I had nothing to do. And a lot of us are feeling a lot of boredom right now, right? I mean, if we're stuck inside all the time, we can't go play the games we like to play, we can't go to the park. So a lot of us are feeling pretty bored. So that's why I chose that word for today, because it's super relevant. Good to be able to identify when someone's feeling bored. And I'm going to do one more with you, okay? Last word for this game. Same as last time, I'll act it out non-verbally and you try and guess what it is. Lights, camera, action. You know what that emotion is? Might have said mad, angry, aggressive, violent. But if you guessed furious, then you got it right. So if you got even one of those right, or if you got close with some of the other words I said, then you're already doing a pretty good job being able to tell and observe what feelings people are feeling, even just based on what they're doing non-verbally, what they're doing with their bodies. So that's going to be super helpful for what we talk about today. So here is this super important diagram. This is a diagram of a thermometer. And we're all using a lot of thermometers right now because it can be super important for us to check our temperature to make sure we don't have a fever. So that's what a normal thermometer does, right? It checks to see what your temperature is. But this thermometer is going to be a little bit different. This thermometer is going to be what we call an anger thermometer. So it's going to measure how angry we are. How angry we are. And you notice I put angry right here in the middle. So in the middle of this thermometer, here's cold, here's hot. In the middle, here's angry. That word that we just guessed, that I just acted out, that word furious, where do you think it goes on this thermometer? It's a type of angry, right? But does it go really high, or is it like lower than angry? I'm going to say that I think that furious goes higher. So then you tell me, what are some other words for angry that mean like a little bit less than angry? Just starting to get angry. You're starting out down here, you just started to get angry.
Some of the other words for being angry is being mad, very energetic in a bad way.
Some other words for being angry. Here are just a few examples. Mad, furious, mutinous, cheesed off.
Lots of good answers here. Some I hear really commonly. Annoyed. So if something happens, you start to get a little annoyed. I'm feeling kind of annoyed. Something keeps going on. You go from being annoyed. Now, you know what? I feel frustrated. Now, I'm starting to get a little more frustrated. A little more. Now I'm starting to feel angry. Or I might also say I'm feeling upset. This thermometer started off here. It's going up. Angry, more than angry, upset. And if it just keeps going up, we just keep getting more and more angry. It goes up, we get furious. And then what do you think would be here at the top? What's like a word for like the most angry possible? My favorite word to use up here, this is my favorite. Rage. We're feeling rage. We're full of rage. And that is sort of like when this explosion takes place, right? Everything, our lid pops off. We go, bananas. We do whatever we want to do without thinking. That's what happens up here. Let's talk about why this thermometer might go up in our lives. Because now we're looking at this and we're like, yeah, I felt a lot of these feelings. But what is it that might make us go up on the thermometer? What are some of those things? So when we're talking about things that make us go up on our thermometer, we're going to talk about something called anger triggers. Do you think you know what that means, an anger trigger? It's pretty simple. An anger trigger is just something that sets you off. It's something that makes your thermometer go up. Or in simplest words, it's something that somebody does that makes you angry, right? An anger trigger sets you off. It can take you from 0 to 100 quick, like that. What do you think are some of your anger triggers? Will you tell me what are some of the things that people do that just always make you mad?
One of my anger triggers is when my sister is annoying me, especially when she's singing songs that I don't like.
One of my anger triggers is when somebody don't listen to me.
One of my anger triggers is when somebody's messing with me and like not giving me any personal space. And Joe, what are you doing? Get out of my personal space, please, Joe.
Lots of anger triggers. Everybody has different ones. That's a great thing about them, is that every single person has different anger triggers. But here are some really common ones that I hear. When someone hits me, when someone takes my stuff, lies. If someone lies to you, doesn't tell you the truth, ooh, that's a big one. So if I say one of these and you have that exact same anger trigger, why don't you just go ahead and do this and be like, yeah, oh my gosh, when someone lies to me, ooh, that makes me so mad. Here's another one, really big one, talking about my family. Does anybody else have that as an anger trigger? I know I definitely do. So if someone says something bad about someone who has passed away, who's no longer with us, that can really be something very upsetting and send our anger thermometer all the way to the top. So we're down here having a normal day. Somebody hits us, we're angry now. And on top of that, somebody says something bad about our family, we go all the way up to rage, and then we sort of lose it up here. So all these different levels, and anger triggers are just sending us up all day. We're stuck at home, we're already feeling bad, somebody comes in and calls us a name, someone eats something from the fridge that we were saving for later, sends us up that thermometer. The next thing we're going to talk about, we're going to shift gears a little bit here, and we're going to talk about the ways that our bodies help us actually recognize that this is happening. And this is going to be something called an anger cue. Notice it's not the letter Q, it's the word C-U-E, cue. An anger cue is what your body does to show you and other people around you that you're getting angry. So think about somebody that you're living with in the house right now. Maybe, like an adult or another kid, maybe a sibling or a cousin. Can you tell when they're getting angry? You probably can. And that's because they are going to give you some cues for how they're getting angry. So will you tell me, what are some of your anger cues? What are some of the things that your body does to show people and to show you that you're getting angry?
One of my anger cues is my ears will get real hot and probably turn red, and I'll get kind of sweaty.
My anger cue is I just stare at them.
One of my anger cues is I tear up, and it's really embarrassing because you don't want to tear up when you're trying to be assertive or you're in an argument, but that's definitely one of my cues.
Lots of awesome anger cues. Everybody, again, has totally different ones, a totally different set. Although we might share some in common, everybody's sort of set of cues are different. But let's go over some of the big ones. And again, if I say one that is one of yours too, just give me one of those knocks. Just be like, yep, that is definitely something that happens to me. For example, a big one that I hear all the time is we ball up our fists. You know, we have an open hand, we start to get angry, the hand turns into a fist, like we're getting ready to fight, right? Anybody else have that one? So we can sweat or get hot. So our body starts to actually, like, this is one of the reasons we use this thermometer, right? Our body starts to actually physically get hot. We feel like, is it getting warm in here? We start to sweat. All that stuff starts to happen when we get angry. Some people say they get a headache. Your head starts to hurt. Some people say the volume of your voice changes. Maybe you get more angry, your voice starts to get loud, like you're starting to yell. Maybe when you get really angry, you start to sort of get a little bit quiet. Maybe some adults in your life, you know, when they start to get quiet, they're getting angry. So changing our voice volume. A big one that a lot of people have is that they sort of shut down. Stop answering questions, stop doing things, stop talking, maybe just stare at the ground or stare at the wall and do nothing else. They sort of shut down when they're getting really angry. And the last one is that your breathing changes. So you might start breathing really heavy, breathing faster. You might find it harder to breathe. Like you're suddenly like, why? No matter how much I breathe, I just feel like I'm not getting enough air. So your breathing might change. So you're balling up your fists, you're getting hot, your face turns red. And again, you can notice these in yourself, and other people can notice these on you too. That's what it means to observe those nonverbal cues that someone's feelings are changing, right? So for different people, you might feel different cues at different times, right? So let's say someone does one of our anger triggers, right? Someone lies to us, and we start to get frustrated, and that's where we start to get a headache. So right about here, we start to get that headache a little bit. And then on top of that, we hear someone saying something bad about someone in our family. Now we're starting to get upset, starting to feel more almost furious. That's when we start to sweat, get really hot. We still have that headache from down here, but now on top of that, we're sweating, getting really hot. And then maybe we hear someone say something bad about our family member who has passed away. And that's where we know that we shut down once we're almost here at rage. And we just are not saying anything, and we're getting so close to being up here, right? And we notice in ourselves these things happening, and now this is just an example. Yours could be totally different, right? Yours could be the opposite of this, right? Like I shut down down here, or I just don't shut down at all. I start getting loud, and I start yelling. My voice volume goes all the way up when I'm getting angry. You can have your own. But all of this is showing us that we're getting to the top of this thermometer. And I want to just mention really quick why we don't want to end up at the top of this thermometer. And it's for a really, really important reason. One of our favorite sayings, one of my favorite sayings, which is, when your feelings are high, your thinking is low. Hear that? When your feelings are high, your thinking is low. In other words, the more angry you get, the dumber you get. The harder it is to make good decisions, to make any decisions at all. Sometimes we just lose control completely. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I just want you to raise your hand if this is true for you. Okay? Very simple, nonverbal survey that I'm going to do with you right now. Have you ever gotten so angry that you said something you really wish that you hadn't said? You wish you could take it back? I know I have. Have you ever gotten so angry that you hurt someone else? Physically hurt someone else? Have you ever gotten so angry that you physically hurt yourself? Maybe you punched a wall, hurt your hand, kicked something? I know I've done that. And have you ever gotten so angry that you don't even really remember what happened? You blacked out? That's because when those feelings get all the way up here, our thinking goes totally basement level, gone. We can't think at all. We can't make decisions. We do things we wish we hadn't done. We hurt ourselves and other people even though we didn't mean to. And sometimes we just totally forget. So that's why we want to be careful not to end up at the very top of this thermometer. And those conflicts that we're having, those problems with other people, they can send us up here really fast. Who are my people who have a quick temper, right? You go from here to here in no time. A lot of us, right? I think I have a quick temper. That makes it even harder. We have like 5 seconds to notice these cues happening in our body before we get up here. That's pretty hard. But the more we practice, the more we just, even thinking back to times that you've already experienced and noticing, yeah, my head did start to hurt before I punched my brother. I did sort of start to ball up my fists before I hit the wall and hurt my hand. Think about what those cues are, and the more we practice it, the easier it is to notice when they happen. So this is all great, right? We know what are the things that are our anger triggers, they're making us mad, we know how to tell when we're getting mad or when other people are getting mad, but none of that is going to help us unless we can prevent ourselves from ending up all the way up here. And we're going to do that by having as many strategies as we can for calming down. You notice you're on your way up on that thermometer, you're ready to come back down because I do not want to start a fight today, I do not want to get in trouble today, I don't want to do something that I didn't really mean to do, my feelings are high, my thinking is low, I need to calm down. So let's talk about some ways to calm down. I'm going to give you a few and then I want you to think of some. Most important one is to breathe. And now you have to breathe properly too. You have to take deep, big breaths and you have to take quiet breaths. Those are both important. So not like, more like, deep and quiet breaths. Count to 10. Simple enough. Just be like, I'm going to give myself 10 seconds before I do something. Count backwards or count upwards, whichever works for you. Just give yourself a second to think. A big one for me is to listen to music. If I can put in my earbuds, listen to some music, I like to listen to sort of like music that gets me like really energetic music because it lets me get rid of some of that energy and helps me calm down. Some people might want to listen to like really calming music. It's up to you. Talk to someone. It has to be someone you trust, someone who you know is going to help you calm down. But if you have a friend who's great at listening to you, or you have a family member who you know always gives good advice, just go talking to them before you make a decision. That can be super helpful. Even if that person lives far away, maybe giving them a call, texting them, since we can't actually go over to their house right now, a great way to sort of calm ourselves down. These 4 are important, but we want to fill in this whole thing. So if you wouldn't mind, I want you to think about what is your best strategy for calming down. Try to think of one that's not already on here, and tell me what is your best strategy for calming yourself down when you get angry.
One of my strategies for calming down is putting my head under a pillow for 2 minutes.
One of my best strategies is taking my time to think about what I did and let it all go and move on.
One of my best strategies for calming down is having a snack.
So hopefully, eventually, with all of our thoughts together, we can fill up this wheel. There's 8 slices here, right? And the reason we have this wheel is because none of these are going to work 100% of the time. Like if my mom is getting mad at me and she's telling me that I did something wrong and I put in my earbuds to listen to music while she's talking, that's not going to help me out very much, right? We have to be able to access at least one of them, so it's good to have as many options as we can so that when we feel our thermometers going up, we feel our cues going off, we know that we have a lot of strategies that we can use to calm ourselves down. And the more we practice them, the easier they're going to be to use.